I never thought my life would change over a slice of cake, but that's exactly what happened on what should have been the happiest day of my year, my 3rd wedding anniversary. The restaurant was perfect. Le Blanc, the most expensive place in Manhattan, where the chandeliers sparkled like diamonds and even the air smelled rich. I had spent 3 hours getting ready, my red dress fitting just right, my hair done exactly the way James liked it. Everything had to be perfect. "Happy anniversary, darling," I said, as James walked in, straightening his designer tie. But he wasn't alone. Behind him walked Lisa, his new assistant, her tight black dress making me feel suddenly overdressed in my flowing gown. "Lisa," I said, trying to maintain a huge smile as I waited for his response from the group. My heart stopped. "James? I thought it was just us tonight." "Change of plans, Sarah," he said, not even looking at me as he pulled out a chair for Lisa. "We have something to announce." The waiter brought out the anniversary cake I had specially ordered, 3 tiers of vanilla and strawberry with "Forever Yours" written in golden icing. James always said vanilla and strawberry reminded him of our first date. "Come cut the cake with me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to ignore how Lisa was smirking behind her champagne glass. The other diners were watching us now, the perfect couple about to celebrate their perfect moment. James stood up slowly, straightening his jacket. Something felt wrong. The air felt heavy, like right before a storm. He walked towards me, and for a moment, I thought everything would be okay. That's when it happened. He didn't take the knife. Instead, he grabbed the entire cake and threw it straight in my face. The cold icing dripped down my neck, into my dress, as the gasps of other diners filled the air. "Happy anniversary, Sarah," he sneered. "Consider this my parting gift. Lisa and I are getting married next month." I stood there, frozen, cake crumbling down my $3,000 dress. But through my shock, through the icing clouding my vision, I saw something fall from his pocket as he turned away, laughing. A small black USB drive skittered across the floor, stopping right at my feet. "You can't do this," I whispered, my voice shaking. But he wasn't listening. He was already walking away, his arm around Lisa. As they left, something inside me changed. The humiliation burned away, replaced by an icy calm. I reached down, picked up the USB drive and slipped it into my purse. James had always warned me never to look into his business dealings. Now I knew exactly where to start. "My name is Sarah Chen, and this is how I destroyed my husband's empire." Little did James know that throwing that cake would be the biggest mistake of his life, because under all this icing and humiliation, he forgot one important thing. Before I became his trophy wife, I was a financial analyst who specialized in finding fraud. And I just found my next case. I met James Chen 5 years ago at a charity gala in Manhattan. Back then, I was making waves on Wall Street, known for spotting financial irregularities that others missed. He was the charming real estate mogul who donated millions to children's hospitals. Everyone called us the perfect match. "You're too good for that stuffy bank," he'd tell me, flashing that $1,000,000 smile. "Come work with me instead." And like a fool in love, I believed him. 6 months after our wedding, I quit my job at Goldman Sachs. James wanted a wife who could host parties and look pretty on his arm, and I wanted to make him happy. Now, sitting in my sister Amy's guest bathroom, trying to wash cake out of my hair at midnight, I could see all the red flags I'd ignored. "I told you he was acting weird lately," Amy said, helping me with my ruined dress. "All those late nights, those secret phone calls. I thought he was planning something special for our anniversary." My laugh came out hollow. Guess the surprise was on me. But something kept nagging at my mind. That USB drive felt heavy in my purse. James was always so careful with his business documents. He'd freak out if he knew he'd dropped it. "And remember," I said, suddenly remembering something. "Remember last month, when those protesters showed up at James's new development site? The ones claiming he'd forged their eviction notices?" "Yeah, but the police cleared him, right?" I pulled out my laptop. 3 years of playing trophy wife hadn't dulled my financial instincts. James's company supposedly paid those families $10 million in relocation fees. But where did that money go? The USB drive clicked into my laptop. My hands shook as files filled the screen. Bank statements, shell companies, offshore accounts, everything a financial analyst dreams of finding. and everything a wife dreads discovering about her husband. "Oh my God," Amy whispered, looking over my shoulder. "Sarah, is this what I think it is? Money laundering, bribes, fake companies?" My finger traced the numbers on the screen. James isn't just building an empire. He's running a criminal enterprise. My phone buzzed. A text from James. "Had fun tonight, sweetheart. Better pack your things. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow." I looked at Amy, a plan already forming in my mind. I need to make some calls, starting with my old boss at Goldman. "Sarah, be careful," Amy warned. "Men like James, they don't like losing." I thought about my ruined dress, my shattered marriage, my destroyed pride. "Good," I said, opening my contact list, because neither do I. The numbness was wearing off now, replaced by something else, something stronger. James thought he'd married a trophy wife who would quietly disappear. Instead, he'd married the one person who could decode his entire criminal operation. Is it going to be okay? And I was just getting started. That night, I made 3 calls. First, to Mark Thompson, my old mentor at Goldman Sachs. Second, to Emily Santos, an investigative reporter who'd been trying to expose corruption in real estate development for years. And third, to a burner phone I'd found in James's drawer months ago, one he didn't know I knew about. The game was about to change. James wanted a war? I'd give him one. Only this time, I wouldn't be playing by his rules. Because sometimes, revenge is best served with a side of justice. I always thought the most painful part of a marriage ending was losing someone you love. I was wrong. The most painful part is realizing the person you loved never really existed. "Look at this," I said to Mark, my old boss, spreading documents across his office desk at midnight. "Every time James builds a new property, a shell company makes a huge deposit in the Cayman Islands." Mark adjusted his glasses, his face grim. "Sarah, this isn't just money laundering. These numbers, he's stealing from everyone. Investors, contractors, even his tenants." The Manhattan skyline glittered outside his window. Somewhere out there, James was probably celebrating with Lisa, thinking he'd won. He had no idea I was here, piecing together his empire of lies. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Back off, Sarah. Some questions shouldn't be answered." I showed it to Mark. "They're watching me. Maybe we should call the FBI," he suggested. "Not yet." I remembered something. First, I need to visit James's latest construction site. The next morning, I put on my old business suit and grabbed my fake real estate agent badge. Amazing how people just wave you through when you look like you belong. The construction site was huge, a future luxury apartment complex. But something felt off. The workers looked nervous when I approached. That's when I saw him, Miguel, the head contractor who used to come to our dinner parties. "Mrs. Chen?" His eyes widened. "You shouldn't be here." "Miguel, remember when James cut your payment in half last year? Said the project went over budget?" I pulled out some documents. "Want to know where that money went?" His hands shook as he looked at the papers. "If I talk, I lose everything." "If you don't talk, you already have," Maeve said. 2 hours later, I had what I needed. Videos, documents, witness statements. Miguel wasn't the only one James had cheated. There were dozens of them. But I'd stayed too long. As I walked to my car, a black SUV pulled up. 2 men in suits stepped out. "Mrs. Chen? The boss wants to talk." My heart raced, but I kept my voice steady. "Tell James if he wants to talk, he can call my lawyer." "This isn't about the divorce." The taller man stepped closer. "It's about your recent activities." That's when I played my trump card. I pulled out my phone, dialed, and put it on speaker. "Emily Santos, New York Times." The men froze. "Hi, Emily," I said loudly. "I'm at James Chen's construction site. Remember those documents I sent you? I just found more evidence." The men backed away. They couldn't risk being part of a news story. "This isn't over," one muttered as they left. He was right. It wasn't over. Because while they were trying to intimidate me, my hidden camera had captured everything, including the contents of their open car trunk, boxes of documents marked City Planning Board Confidential. I smiled as I drove away. James wasn't just bribing contractors. He was bribing city officials. That night, as I added the new evidence to my growing file, I got another text from James. Last warning, Sarah. Take the divorce settlement and disappear. I texted back, "You're right, James. It's time to end this." But he didn't know what I meant. In 12 hours, I would walk into the FBI office with enough evidence to bring down not just James, but his entire corrupt network. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting justice. And justice was coming for James Chen. The day of reckoning came sooner than James expected. He had no idea I'd been working with the FBI for weeks, building an airtight case against him. I sat in a surveillance van outside the Plaza Hotel, where James was hosting the launch of his biggest project yet, a $500 million luxury development. Every corrupt official, every dirty investor, everyone who had helped him build his criminal empire would be there. "Ready?" Agent Martinez asked, adjusting my hidden microphone. I've been ready for this moment since he threw that cake in my face. Walking into that ballroom felt like entering the lion's den. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead as New York's elite mingled, champagne glasses clinking. James stood at the center, Lisa draped on his arm like I used to be. His smile froze when he saw me. "Sarah! Security!" he called out. I walked straight up to him, speaking loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "Is that how you greet your wife, James? The one who knows about the bribes, the laundered money, the fake companies?" The room got quieter. People were listening now. "You're making a scene," he hissed, grabbing my arm. "Get out before you what?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the screen. "Before you call those 2 men who threatened me at the construction site? They're already in custody. Turns out they love making deals with federal agents." He huffed. The color drained from his face. Lisa stepped back, suddenly not so confident. "You don't have anything," he said, but his voice shook. "Remember that USB drive you dropped? The one you've been looking for?" I smiled. It's amazing what stories numbers can tell when you know how to read them. That's when the FBI stormed in. Agent Martinez led the charge. Badge raised. "James Chen, you're under arrest for money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy." The chaos that erupted was beautiful. City officials tried to run, only to find more agents at every exit. Lisa disappeared in the confusion. And James? He lunged at me, all his polished charm gone. "You ruined everything," he screamed as agents grabbed him. I stepped closer, my voice steady. "No, James. You ruined everything when you thought I was just a trophy wife. You forgot who I was, who I am. The woman who spent her career finding people like you." As they led him away in handcuffs, I saw something I never expected, fear in his eyes. Not of the charges or the jail time, but of me, of the woman he'd underestimated. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. James's empire crumbled as the evidence came to light. 15 city officials were arrested, 30 million in stolen funds were recovered, his properties were seized. The New York Times headline said it all: "Wife brings down real estate mogul's criminal empire." 6 months later, I sat in the courtroom as the judge delivered James's sentence. 20 years, no parole. "Sarah," he called out as they led him away. "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. His words meant nothing now. Instead, I walked out of that courtroom with my head high, past the reporters and cameras. Amy was waiting outside. "You did it," she said, hugging me. "No more playing nice," I replied. "No more being quiet." The next day, I reopened my financial investigation firm. My first case? Helping Miguel and the other contractors James had cheated get their money back. Sometimes life throws cake in your face, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to wake up and become who you were always meant to be. My name is Sarah Chen, and this was just the beginning. 1 year later, I stare at my reflection in my office window, the Manhattan skyline a glittering backdrop behind me. The sign on my door reads, Chen Financial Investigations. Yes, I kept his last name. Not for him, but as a reminder of how far I've come. "Miss Chen?" My assistant pokes her head in. "The new clients are here. The ones from the Thompson development case?" I smile, gathering my files. Another group of people was cheated by a corrupt developer. Another chance to make things right. Yeah. My phone buzzes. A text from Amy. "Saw James's appeal was denied. You okay?" I type back. "Never better." And I mean it. The woman who once cried over cake in her face is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, someone who helps others fight back. The news plays quietly on my office TV. They're doing a story about corruption in real estate development. My case against James started a domino effect. More whistleblowers came forward, and more corrupt developers were exposed. Breaking news, the anchor says. Lisa Martinez, a key witness in the Chen corruption case, has agreed to testify against other major developers. I turn off the TV. Lisa made her own choices, just like I did. Last I heard, she's getting immunity for her cooperation. Good for her. My new office is on the 30th floor, higher than James's old one. Sometimes I look out at this city and remember how I used to be afraid of heights. Now, I'm not afraid of anything. 7. Miguel, the contractor from James's site, stops by sometimes. He's running his own company now, built on honest work and fair deals. You changed my life, he always says. No, I tell him. You changed your own life. I just showed you how. The walls of my office tell my new story. My financial analyst certificates, news clippings about the case, a photo of me testifying before the city council about developer corruption, and in the center, something that makes every client smile, a framed photo of a cake-covered bride next to a magazine cover declaring me the woman who brought down New York's biggest real estate scam. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Mark, my old boss. Dinner tonight? That new Italian place? I feel my cheeks warm. Mark stood by me through everything. Lately, our working dinners have started feeling less like work and more like something else. Something hopeful. See you at 8, I text back. As I walk into the conference room to meet my new clients, I catch my reflection again. Designer suit, confident stride, head held high. But it's my eyes that have changed the most. They're stronger now, clearer, more alive. The clients stand as I enter. A group of small business owners, fighting to save their shops from another corrupt development project. Thank you for meeting with us, Ms. Chen, one says. We heard you're the best at fighting back. I open my files, ready to help them find justice, just like I found mine. Call me Sarah, I say. And trust me, this is just the beginning of your comeback story. Because that's what I do now. I help people write their endings. And this time, justice comes with a side of sweet revenge. Some say living well is the best revenge. I say living truthfully is even better. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'm no longer anyone's trophy wife. I'm their worst nightmare. The end.